That's right. Hy-Vee proudly supports the student athletes, coaches, officials, and teachers of Iowa high schools. Hy-Vee, always making life easier, healthier, and happier. We're also brought to you tonight in part by 34 Sports Grill with two great locations, the Valley West Mall next to Yonkers and in Ankeny on White Birch Circle. Tuesday night is Grand Slam Tuesday. Family of four eats for $19.34. That's 34 Sports Grill with two great locations here in Iowa. And again, we'd like to welcome aboard our newest Geno's West on Mill Civic Parkway, as they are now part of our sponsors. They're known for their top quality steaks as well as their bright red sauce specialties, fried chicken, and famously thin and crisp onion rings. Welcome to Geno's West, part of the Friday Night Live programming here on the Iowa Sports Connection Radio Network. Well, throughout our seasons, during whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall, we have great affiliates across the state and great play-by-play voices and sports directors. And in order to be able to cover the state right, why not use them? And we're going to use them tonight. It's our affiliate night, and part of that affiliation is out at AM 1310 KDLS in Perry and KGRA 98.9 FM in Jefferson, and part of that radio group as well, KKRF 107 FM in Stuart. He is the sports director there, Shawn Kenney, and he joins us this Friday night. Shawn, great catching up with you again, brother.
Hey, good to be back with you, Tony. Good to be back in Iowa. We were in Philadelphia watching Iowa get dethroned last weekend at the NCAAs, and I left 83-degree weather in Philadelphia to come back to this. What's going on? What's wrong with that picture?
Well, you brought back some bad weather is what it's telling me, Shawn. But, hey, let me ask you real quick, being up there in Philadelphia and wrestling, and here in Iowa, we're pretty proud of it. I don't know, on TV, it sounded pretty dead there. Was it as quiet as it sounded on TV?
Actually, there was really good representation. I think we found out that wrestling is back on the rise on the East Coast, especially looking at the teams with Penn State winning this year, obviously, but you had American University, Cornell finishing second. Those East Coast schools really kind of reemerged as teams to deal with, and I thought the enthusiasm from that specter was pretty good. Now it returns to the Midwest next year in St. Louis, and then we get it in 2 years in Des Moines. But I know the East Coast will be wanting to get that back here in the very near future.
Well, I got to get closer to you. How'd you get that gig anyway?
Jim Gibbons. I was very fortunate. Jim and I have done wrestling on our radio stations for years down at the state meet, and we've been doing it for ESPN3.com. This was our fourth year doing it, and I'll tell you, Jim's such an ambassador for the sport. He's a great teacher for folks who maybe don't know wrestling all that well. The way he breaks it down and describes it is just incredible. He's a great ambassador for the sport.
Well, Shawn, one of the reasons we have great affiliates is being able to go around the state and kind of look back, and it's a perfect time of year we can kind of look back at the winter sports programs with wrestling and girls and boys basketball, as well as kind of take a quick look forward, and tonight kind of key in on the wrestling part, the state track and field, because that's the biggest sport coming up at this time of the year. But talk about the look back, what you remember about your winter sports teams up there and individuals.
I think we'll start with basketball on that, and two teams that really stand out among the ones I covered this year were two boys state qualifying teams. Dallas Center Grimes, Joel Rankin has really done a terrific job with this Mustang program. Basketball at DCG was not a really successful sport for many years, but he has now qualified for state twice. They lost, I know, in the first round to Norwalk, but they had some tremendous seniors. This was a core that had been playing together since third grade. We're talking kids like Delby Halcomb, Tyler Constantine, Bryce Block. So I think they should be commended. 2 straight years qualifying in 3A, certainly an accomplishment for the Mustangs, and they shared the Raccoon River Conference Championship with Carroll. The other team, Guthrie Center, we had a heck of a time following the Tigers in the 1A state tournament. Guthrie Center had their highest finish ever in school history. They finished third. They came in as the number 7 seed. They upset Iowa Mennonite in the first round of the tournament, then lost to the eventual state champion, Storm Lake St. Mary's, before winning the consolation final. And I'll tell you what, they have a big guy that I don't care what class, this kid can compete. Dustin Clark, and I know I saw you down there, Tony. You saw this kid. He is something special, tremendous athlete underneath the basket, and I was just happy for him to get the state publicity that he really deserved all season.
Well, if he plays football like he plays basketball, which is what he's going to do in college, then I want out of his way. That's all I got to say.
That's one guy who would not want to be tackled by.
No. Well, as you look forward, you had some outstanding over there at Perry last year. I think she's over at Iowa State now. You had an outstanding young lady on the track side, winning 100, 200, and 400, I think it was last year.
Yeah, Jess Nichols. a tremendous athlete for the Jayettes. She's going to be obviously missed this year for Perry girls track and field, but she is off to a good start at Iowa State. You know, looking at track and field, the team in our area that probably has the strongest shot of sending the most runners down the state is Panorama. This is a Panther program that will be looking for their 13th consecutive West Central Activities Conference title. They have 10 returning qualifiers from last year. Delaney Turner, Morgan Woodvine, Hannah Molds. These are all girls that have been down there 2-3 years as they cap off their senior year. So look for Panorama girls track. I really think this could be their year to make some noise at state.
Hey, Shawn, I've got my own track team right here. It's called the Alex Gokenauer Track and Field Club. She's sitting there shadowing us tonight in the studio. How's that for an outstanding high school athlete to be able to watch this year?
I'll tell you, that is going to be fun. That's great to have her with you in studio there. That's tremendous.
Maybe by the time she's done, she might change her mind about getting into this field. Shawn, what do you think?
I say you just keep talking to her, and she's going to love this field by the end of the season. I guarantee it. Hey, did you hear the big news? I mean,
no.
When looking at the Raccoon River Conference, maybe the biggest news came out of Ballard last week with successful coaches stepping down. Merle Olberdine, longtime girls basketball coach, turning up his duties, and also the Weatherman brothers for coaching wrestling. So, you know, Ballard has a couple of huge vacancies to fill for winter sports. Sets of coaches that have brought nothing but success to that program.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. Losing Taylor Greenfield, outstanding senior, over to Stanford. That was probably fun covering her. I got to see her up there in Cedar Rapids when they played Linn-Mar of Marion and Kia Stokes up in that tournament that one weekend, and of course at the state tournament. But both, you know, it's once fun as we watch these high school athletes, both on the young ladies and the young men's side. But through athletics, their lives change. They get a scholarship, they get an education, set themselves up for life if they do the right things, and you know, we get an opportunity to be a little piece of that world as they develop in this future. And
you've been around these athletes long enough. They really get their personalities and their strong work ethic at the high school level. I mean, this is where it all starts. So to see them mature throughout the years, especially excel in college like Taylor Greenfield will, like Jess Nichols will in Ames, Ellie Argenbright, who's on the Iowa State women's basketball team, the Panorama graduate. It's really neat to see them take their shape and really create their identity at the next level.
And you know what's also great, though? We're proud to be Iowans, first of all, but these kids remember their roots, especially the kids from the smaller communities and the farms and all the work and the miles that they had to put in. They remember the parents or the coaches and everybody around them that got them to where they're at. And I think that's something it's missed a lot when you look around in some of the bigger cities and the bigger states. But here in Iowa, I think our kids are well-grounded and they remember their roots pretty well.
Boy, I agree with that. And I see that in just the attendance when I go out doing basketball games, for instance. You know, who do I see in the front row when Perry's playing Ballard? I see Amanda Zimmerman back cheering on her Bombers, current member of the Iowa State women's team. These athletes, these kids like to come back. They like to support their former teammates, and it's really neat to see.
Well, Shawn, it is great getting back in touch with you again. I know it was fun to at least have a couple of hellos over at the state tournament at Wells Fargo Arena. That was a fun couple of weeks, wasn't it?
It really is. Wells Fargo, you know, I was sad to see Veterans Auditorium lose it, but I tell you, the more I do games at Wells Fargo, wrestling and basketball, I really love it. They have a first-class staff over there, and just a great place to call a game. Lots of excitement.
I couldn't agree with you more. I thought I was going to miss Vets, but the more I go to Well and enjoy, I really, especially the wrestling part. Vets was just, if you could get run over it, and now with the lower bowl, you're kind of separated from the crowd. The crowd can sit there and enjoy wrestling instead of what was going on there with the cattle call from different meets going on.
You know, with the wrestling, the big joke I remember when I would come home after broadcasting 3-4 hours of wrestling, my ears would still be ringing during the overnight. It was like, what is this? And it was all the wrestling moms, because as you remember on Vets row, the parents, the fans were right on top of the radio, and those microphones just boosted them up. Wrestling moms have the best vocals out there, guaranteed.
Now, you brought it up. That is the only thing I did miss about Veterans Memorial Auditorium for sure. When you had to do a basketball game, that press row was perfect. You got to see the game unfold below you with the fans in front and behind you. It really painted a pretty good picture as a play-by-play game.
Oh, the crowd ambience was great at Vets, no doubt about that.
Yeah. Well, Shawn, it's great catching up with you tonight. We'll definitely catch up with you throughout the spring and summer, and we wish you the best over there. Great sports director over there in your area, and your programming keeps up with all those high school kids and their endeavors through the spring and summer, and we appreciate you coming on with us.
Well, Tony, we appreciate all the work you do. You guys do a great job following the athletes, providing a positive light on what they do. So thank you for all that you guys do with the Iowa Sports Connection.
All right. He is Shawn Kenney, Sports Director with KDLS AM 1310 in Perry, also KGRA 98.9 FM in Jefferson, and another affiliate station in KKRF 107 FM in Stuart. Always proud. When we come back, we're going to go to Atlantic next. KSWI 95.7 FM and KSOM 96.5 FM over there. The sports director and the play-by-play voice, Tom Robinson, will join us. Also later in the hour, we'll go up to Northeast Iowa, Waverly, where our affiliate KWAY AM 1470 and Tim Hillebrand will join us as well. A lot of success in both of those areas this past winter and a lot to look forward to in the spring. And I'm guessing Atlantic might know a little something about Alex Gokenauer. We'll be back with more of Friday Night Live. We come to you every Friday night on the Iowa Sports Connection radio and television market on AM 1700, the flagship, on television on WHO 13.2 and Mediacom channels 113 and 246. More of Friday Night Live coming right back after this timeout.